You might be shocked to hear that Pennsylvania is the third most popular state for where retirees are moving to. Although Pennsylvania isn't one of the more common southern states that most people think of when they hear retirement, Pennsylvania actually outranks most of them. But it's definitely not perfect here, so let's go over 5 pros and 5 cons of retiring here in Pennsylvania so you know if this is the best state for you to retire in or not. Hi there, I'm Cory Benhardt, your Pennsylvania realtor. I specialize in helping people make the move to Pennsylvania. I have helped tons of people make the move to retire here in PA. So when the time comes, I would love to help you find your perfect home here. All of my contact information is below. Let's get started. In no specific order, the first pro of retiring in Pennsylvania is the tax breaks and just the overall savings that Pennsylvania offers retirees. In Pennsylvania, retirement income is completely tax-free. This includes payments from retirement accounts like 401ks, IRAs, and Social Security benefits. Plus, if you're 60 or older, your pension income is also fully tax exempt as well. Additionally, there are some property tax rebates available for those that are eligible. Pennsylvania also has relatively low sales tax throughout the state, but also with tons of different exemptions. Essential items such as groceries, candy, thanks to Hershey being located right here in PA, clothing, and both over-the-counter and prescription medications are not subject to sales tax. We'll talk about the weather later, but while Pennsylvania can get pretty chilly, all home heating fuels such as oil, gas, electricity, and firewood are also tax-free, helping you keep your heating costs down. So arguably one of the most important factors for choosing where you should retire is the access to great quality healthcare. Luckily, Pennsylvania, and more specifically the southeastern part of the state, is known to be a healthcare hub with some of the best hospitals in the country. Out of all the doctors in the country, 1 and 6 were trained right here in the Philadelphia metro area. So that should show you just truly how great the healthcare system is right around this area. According to Forbes.com, Pennsylvania is ranked the 5th best state for overall healthcare, with some of the top hospitals located in more of the urban areas throughout the state, such as the Philly metro area, with some of the hospitals being the University of Pennsylvania, which is the #1 top rated in Pennsylvania, along with Jefferson Health, Mainline Health, and Doylestown Hospital, which was recently ranked the 133rd best hospital in the entire world. All right, so another great reason to consider Pennsylvania for retirement is our location. Depending on where within Pennsylvania you end up moving to, you could be only a couple of hour drive or less to New York City, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Boston, etc., to enjoy everything that these cities have to offer without having to pay the high cost of living prices. If you're not a city person, you could certainly enjoy the Jersey Shore or the very beautiful Pocono Mountains. For those trips outside of the area, you're only around a 5-hour drive to Virginia Beach, along with Florida, which is roughly a 12-hour drive or around a 3-hour flight. Speaking of flights, our state's most popular airport is the Philadelphia International Airport, with more than 30 million passengers every year, along with easy access from Philly International Airport to Europe without having to deal with multiple layovers and time changes as other states would if you were traveling to Europe from, say, the other side of the country. To piggyback off of Pennsylvania's amazing location, you also have the option to live every type of life here, meaning if you envisioned your retirement to be in a thriving city with walkability to everything, not needing to own a car, living in a luxury condo building with tons of amenities, etc., Pennsylvania certainly has it. Or if you're looking for more of suburban living, maybe closer to a small downtown walkable area, but still having the space, privacy, and quiet that the suburbs offer, Pennsylvania has that as well, along with so many other different types of living, from very rural farm living to just about everything else that you can imagine. All right, so one of the most popular reasons that I hear my clients say that they are most excited to move to Pennsylvania for is the 4 distinct seasons that we receive here. In Pennsylvania, we get to experience the hot summers, the cold winters, the cool fall, and the warm spring seasons. Watching the seasons change throughout the year can be truly breathtaking, especially on those tree-lined streets in the fall time. Another major advantage of the weather here is that we really don't receive any extreme weather, such as hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, major floods, etc. We really don't get any of that. One of my favorite things about the weather in Pennsylvania is that as the seasons change, the things that you can do outside also change. Of course, in the the winter, you can do certainly much different things than you can in the spring, fall, and summer, and vice versa. All right, so now let's get into some of the major cons or potential disadvantages of retiring here in Pennsylvania, with the first one being the allergies. As the seasons change, that comes with lush trees and plants, which are great, but they also can result in tons of pollen, particularly between spring and early summer. The impact of pollen greatly varies person to person. Some barely notice it, while others suffer from severe allergies. Personally, I'm affected by some pretty bad allergies for really only a couple weeks a year, but I know some people who are not affected at all. So if you've never lived in Pennsylvania, I highly recommend to visit during peak allergy season to see how it affects you before making the move. All right, so another con is unfortunately the aging infrastructure here in PA. Unlike states on the West Coast or in the South where you can find wide, modern highways, nice new bridges, and roads in perfect condition, Pennsylvania roads are a whole different story. Highways are typically pretty narrow and not in the best condition. Although our bridges are certainly safe, they are definitely not as bright and as aesthetically pleasing as some of the newer bridges in other states. Highways here are generally smaller without the extra lanes you might be used to, and the roads can be tougher due to wear and tear from the harsh winters. If you're moving from states like California, Florida, etc., you might see a huge difference when moving to here when it comes to the overall infrastructure. But truthfully, if you're moving from just about any other part of the country, or if you already live on the East Coast, you won't really see that much of a difference here. All right, so this con definitely depends on personal preference because some people love it and others hate it, and that is the winter. The US averages 28 inches of snow per year, and Pennsylvania beats that with an average overall of 38 inches per year. But that number drastically depends on where within Pennsylvania you end up moving to. For example, if you live up in the York area, it's not uncommon to receive close to 100 inches of snow in the winter, as opposed to more the southeastern part where you don't get anywhere close to that, or truthfully, you don't really ever get that close to the average of 38 inches of snow either. We've gotten pretty lucky the past couple of years and have only had a couple of light snowstorms, but it really does depend year by year. Of course, if you choose to live in a 55 plus community or just an overall HOA community, when it comes to shoveling and salting and all of that, most likely that association will take care of all that for you, so you don't really have to worry about any of that. Another con is if you're somebody who wants to live in a very remote, rural part of Pennsylvania, you unfortunately will have very limited social and entertainment options, along with limited healthcare options as well. So depending on what you're looking for in your retirement, keep in mind that location in Pennsylvania is certainly key. So the fifth con of retiring in Pennsylvania is that we don't have any ocean access. Although we have plenty of incredible lakes and rivers, when it comes to the beach and the ocean, unfortunately we don't have that. But if that's something that's very important, there are definitely places within Pennsylvania where you're only around an hour or two drive from the beach. If Pennsylvania is where you're planning to retire, I would love to help you find your perfect area and perfect home. All of my contact information is below or down in the description below, and I'll see you over on this next video.